Let me explain this to you. I don't know about the language because it's a very clean show, and I'm going to keep it like this. But I am tired of the merd, the scheisse that I'm hearing regarding Diddy. It's like, if I'm Diddy, I'm saying, sit back and listen to this. This is the biggest bunch of crap I've heard. This. It's insanity. I'm not going to mention any names, but what the hell is everybody talking about? I just want to bring everybody back to earth. You mentioned Suge Knight. That's the guy you're going to talk to Suge?
We already pre-recorded it. It's coming out on Wednesday.
He's a genius. He is he gets it so much. I heard another he is phenomenal. Now, but here's what happens. Do you know what will happen after your interview? And if he were to take the witness stand now, nothing. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's nothing we didn't know. My whole thing is, so what? Tell him, Suge. Tell him about Clive Davis. Talk about Michael Jackson. Tell him about Usher. We know this. What are you going to tell us? What the hell does this have to do with this now? Go ahead. Talk about it. It's the same old crap all the time. We know this. You know all this stuff. Let me explain something to you, Shaun, because you're a pretty sharp guy, as we say here in Hell's Kitchen. You're a sharp guy. You know, Shaun. There's something in whenever you file a motion to dismiss, there's something called a demurrer. You can file a response, which means, oh yeah, so what? Okay, that's your point. So what? What am I supposed to do it? I'm not admitting, I'm not denying it. So what? Tell me one thing that's going to be like that. It's like, what are we missing here? What are we missing? What is it? The thing you should be thinking of is the U.S. attorney who was handling this regarding Diddy is now leaving. He stepped down. And let's see what happens with Trump. Let's see what Trump and the DOJ thinks about lawfare, Shaun, because you're a sharp guy, Shaun. You're a sharp guy over there. Let's see what he thinks. Let's see some other stuff. This is the biggest. If I were Diddy, I'm saying, sit back, relax. I haven't heard anything new. Nothing. We're talking about everything from this to angels and this and Diddy. We know the Usher story. We know this stuff. Listen, I'm not standing up for him. But look at the three charges: conspiracy, racketeering, a racketeering organization, transferring and sex trafficking, and that's it. Okay, prove it. I'm waiting. He's a bad guy. He's a weird guy. He's a freak guy. The alcohol deal, the Ciroc, the racist. Okay. Great. That's great for TMZ. By the way, did you ever learn anything from TMZ? Nothing. You never learn anything. They just have a lot of I knew this. They just look shocked. Really? And they had mirrors on the wall. Would you grow up? What? Tell me something new. I mean it. Tell me something new. How about the latest allegations regarding the lawyer suing Diddy with all the civil? Busby, his little. What does that mean? Nothing. So I don't want to be a killjoy, but I'm telling you, let's talk about some real serious stuff, which is the most important part. Can I be honest with you? And Shaun, I know you're such a gentleman, or as we say in Hell's Kitchen, you're a gentleman. You really are, because you're a sharp guy, and you know that.
I'm putting Lionel's link in the YouTube chat.
Yes.
Please subscribe to Lionel on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I talk about, please do. First of all, because you're a gentleman, and you're not going to say this, but I'm going to say this. And with all due respect, I appreciate this. Not that I don't mind being on with about 50 other people who are talking about, and now we're going to go to Zanzibar, who reads elk feces in the woods. What? Shaun, you didn't tell me about this. That's okay. And now we're going to talk to somebody who reads prostates. What? Anyway, what I was waiting for you to see. I was trying to get a snort through your nose. I was trying to time that. I was trying to time that. See, because normally it's great to see you like this. This is Shaun normally. That's you. You can freeze, and you just sit there, and meanwhile you have every. Okay, let's start off with this. First and foremost, the people who make up most of the world of rap are idiots, submental, barely coherent. Illiterate. Not everybody, but a lot of these people are just some of the most stupid people I've ever met, heard in my life. Not Suge Knight, not Diddy. No. But some of these folks who get involved with this. That's number one. Number two, they want to be gangsters. They want to be gangsters. They couldn't carry. I know. I'm just going to say, I'm here in New York City, and I've met some, and they would laugh. These people that I know and others have known, they're raised in it. It's in their life. They know. I mean, they're ready to go to prison. They are ready to go. They got their bags packed. They're ready to go. Nobody snitches. In fact, the worst thing you could do. I'm serious. I know people who didn't go to prison. They're saying, "Hey, how come he didn't go? Are you a rat?" No. Take me. There were people I know who. You think I'm kidding? There are people who didn't want to get out of jail. They're going to think I'm ratting. And then you got P. Diddy, Doody, Pooty, Cootie, these morons with a hat backwards. Hey, how you? Morons. And they're gangsters. You give them a gun. They all have guns and gold. What are you doing? A real downtown, a real mobster, if there is such a thing, somebody from the life. He walks around. He looks like a bum. He wears a tracksuit. He doesn't wear gold. He doesn't carry a gun. He has a bait and tackle shop. These morons, hey, yo, idiot, target. And Suge Knight, as genius, ask the genius, why are you hanging around such morons? Get that shit off. What's the matter with you? What of a target? Thug, criminal. You've got a third-grade education. You can't even pronounce your name. You don't even know where you were born. And all of a sudden, you're a billionaire. Get out of here. It's the most, I swear to you. Does anybody ever say, what is the biggest problem is, Diddy, you hung around these people and you invited them to a party. What did you expect? What do you expect with, yo? And I love this when they say, yo, we rolled up. I got my Compton. You got the IQ, the collective IQ of a speed bump or a soap dish, and they're walking around heavily armed, walking into awards, all dressed up the same so they can cause a scene. They would be, if they were in a legit family, they would be shelved. That's the worst. That's when you're in some kind of like, you're in, it's like, get out. We unmake you. We don't know you. You're a moron. They go through real legit gangsters, as you say. They go through, you got to this, you got to propose them. How do we know? Who is he? Does he know? I know his brother. I vouch for him. We'll open the books. We haven't opened the books in 20. These people walk around. You got a gun? Here's a gun. Put your hat on backwards. Can you drool? Okay, you are fitty big bastard flow. And next thing you know, you're part of the posse because you're a moron. And that's my defense. Ladies and gentlemen, these people are morons. Get ready. These are the dumbest people you've ever met. Put it this way. They'll make you an offer you won't understand. These are gangsters. These people this is a joke. Yeah, let me tell you something. He's a perv. This guy's a perv. That's what they do. Led Zeppelin, Paul McCartney, the Beatles, Clara Bow, Charlie Chaplin. They're pervs. They're freaks. And right now, if I open the window here at Brooklyn Detention and said, freak out party, Diddy, they would break into the prison, bring their own oil to stop Big Diddy. This is not exactly trafficking. I'm not pulling people into vans. It's like throwing out a cookie in Central Park and saying, hey, look, ants. What do you think this is? And you get these people say, what's that? Money. Oh, I do. Oh, I remember this. Oh, he assaulted me. When? 19. Who was president then? Who was president? 93. Oh, come on. Now, I'm not standing up for these people, but this is ridiculous. Let me also ask you something, Shaun. You're going to love this. I knew a guy years ago who was, shall we say, connected. All right. And I'm being kind. And he asked me, he says, let me ask you something. He said, you ever wonder why the FBI doesn't shut us down? You ever wonder why? He said, we know, they know who we are. Hell, people walking around say, I know Gotti, I know this one. They're all, hey, how you doing? Everybody knows who everybody is. I'm from Ozone Park, I'm from downtown. There's Vinny Boombots, there's Eddie the Eggplant. Everybody knows everybody. Okay, the secret society. That's my favorite. The secret society. Imagine if it wasn't secret. So he said, why don't you think they shut us down? Why don't they shut down the motorcycle gangs, Hell's Angels and the Nomads? Why don't they shut down MS-13? Hell, they walk around speaking Spanish and they got MS-13 tattooed on their goddamn forehead. Why don't they do that? He said, and the reason why is they need us because they want to put their blood in our veins. And the reason why rap music started, and the reason, I mean, it was like, remember at first, over the hip, a hop, a hippie, what is this, Sugar Hill Gang? What is this pablum crap this was? Debbie Harry actually did the first rap song. Gil Scott-Heron did it. We can go back in that. Well, hell, they were doing syncopated music since Hank Snow. And, you know, the older, you know, that kind of stuff. Okay, fine. Well, anyway, NWA. Oh, yo, OG, go. That's our one. What? Ta-da! Drug dealers. That's the cover. So a lot of very smart white people in the music business said, that's it. Hey, would you run this for us? Yeah, great. Hey, Suge, would you run this? Fantastic. Can you have something where you can attract every drug dealer in the world? Yeah. Thank you. This is beautiful. And then you got Puffy, and they do the Crips and the Bloods. That's terrific. The Bloods and the keep selling our stuff. You got to get it. And don't you think for 1 minute that this government didn't infiltrate black communities with crack. They were, I mean, come on. This isn't even a conspiracy theory. Has anybody ever realized this? The government loves you. You do the work for them. There are people say, remember the old days of heroin? Bumpy, whatever his name was, and Nicky Barnes and Uptown, and they would say, you know, the mobs, Vito Genovese and others would work with the black gangsters. They had to get the heroin or heron, as they say in the street. It was perfect. Let them do it. Let them do it. Try in New York coming up with a crack network without the mob okaying it. Good luck with that one. Try having the Chinese triads without them doing it, or the Russian gangs, or the Albanians. This has been going on forever. So this is a chance for us to sit back and look into this world. And let me tell you something. Speaking of music, if you want to do a story, look how black musicians have been ripped off by white entrepreneurs since the beginning of time. So somewhere, believe it or not, with all this great entrepreneur and this and Diddy and this, above Diddy is somebody making even more money because they have these people who do this. And the only sad part is the black community looks up to these morons and thinks that somehow this is the way to live. And I hear what they're saying about Bieber. If I hear one more thing about Bieber, it's too late. It's too late. Do you think he's the only one? Let me tell you something, Shaun. I don't know about the UK right now. Oh, my God, you poor people. But in my country, we've got some of the vilest human scum, pond scum, these hominids pouring over our borders, snatching kids. There's a little, it's on YouTube or on Twitter today, this little 2-year-old girl. They said, ¿Dónde está mami papa? Estados Unidos. This kid comes here looking for his parents. He's 2 years old. Kids more mature than you and me. Kids got his. I mean, I can't believe this. And you think Justin Bieber is the only? I've got kids who were trafficked, organ harvested, and nobody gives a rat's ass about this. I don't want to hear anymore about Justin Bieber. I don't want to hear anymore about Michael Jackson. Okay, it was tough, but my God, our priorities are human trafficking. I've told you this before, and I'm going to say it again. My wife at Lynn's Warriors. You have no idea of how what they're doing to kids today. And Shaun, it's slavery. It's not trafficking. It's slavery.
Let's call it transporting, Lionel, because we've had problems with YouTube with that word.
Oh, you got these words. Okay, you know what's not even
transporting.
That.
Human transporting.
It means the word doesn't mean like movement. It means dealing in. When you deal in stolen goods, when you steal in or a deal in endangered species stuff, you deal. That's the word. It's a stupid word. It's like another word which I hate. I don't know if I can say this. I think I can.
Probably not. Probably not.
No. Well, I'll say it. I'll say it in Sanskrit. I said it backwards. It's a palindrome. No, but there's this word. It rhymes with renocide that they're talking about. It's the wrong word. Don't use this word. Don't use it. Don't call it that. People, they don't. Words matter. So anyway, it's. I'm listening to this stuff, which is hysterical. Now, you know what's going to happen with all this? Nothing. What's going to happen to Diddy? What do you think is going to happen to him down the line? What's going to happen to him? What? Nothing. Nothing.
He's going to do a plea bargain.
Yeah.
And he'll serve some time.
And maybe President Trump might say, you know what? I think there's a little bit of lawfare here. I think they're going after him because, or at least maybe kind of have a sympathetic. You're going after him for federal crime. You mean to tell me with all of the stuff that is going on in this world, you mean to tell me that you think this guy is worth federal time? You've got wide. I can go down the list of I don't want to talk about your word. There's this word harvesting. There's things that you can't even imagine, and they pick this guy. So and the idea that he can't make bail is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Come on, there are people who've done more than he has, and he's not out. And let me also ask you something. Everybody says, well, you know, he's got a picture with Oprah. So what? Harvey Weinstein could bury all of them. Nothing happened. What is he going to say about Oprah? What is he going to say? What is she? Carlos the Jackal? She was responsible for what? She's a terrorist? What? What is he going to say? What is he going to say that nobody doesn't know? Oh, he's got a picture with Obama. That's my favorite. You think you're going to drag Obama into this? Or what? What do you think? What do you think he's hiding that anybody wants to know about? If I told you, okay, I'll tell you. So-and-so was at a party. Uh-huh. And? No, that's it. What do you mean that's it? And? No. I got a picture. Look, this is a picture of Obama and Oprah squatting over a goldfish bowl in a clown's outfit. And? Nobody's shocked anymore. What are you going to do? It's not against the law. I mean, I'm not saying that's true. That was purely a hypothetical. But what do you think people are going to learn from this? It is a disgusting, filthy, crappy, lousy business. And if parents don't know this, and you're going to go to Diddy's hotel room, you mean to tell me you're going to audition? Now, I don't think you should ever tell somebody that, well, you ask for it. But some of these parents, we had this moron by the name of Kamala Harris, who was trying to run for president, who had the IQ of a planter. And when she was the attorney general for California, wanted to charge parents with truancy. Because they weren't because they needed the money, the billions of dollars that were being lost by kids not going to school. It's the only thing she cared about. Well, why don't we go after parents who send their kids to spend the day with Michael Jackson, Diddy, and all these signing over guardian? I don't even know what the hell that's about. That's the next thing we should talk about.
You're getting asked about your thoughts on Courtney's lawyer. And Sophia, Lionel met Ariel on this channel a couple of weeks ago. Ariel and Courtney were on, and Lionel and Ariel had a chat. And Sophia wants to know your thoughts about Ariel.
I think she's excellent. First of all, any lawyer who comments on a lawyer based upon what they've seen online, I don't know. I have no idea. I think she is excellent. My wife interviewed her as well. I think she's terrific. But also, she's a very unique person because to get in this, once you get into this world, you kind of see how all the pieces fit together. And the thing which is, I think, the most important, so I think she's doing fine. I have no reason whatsoever to even comment. But I'll tell you one thing. You got to, I think what would shock you and the rest of the people in your great audience is how little he's done that's illegal, that you can prove. I mean it. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to be cute. What do you have on him? What? But Suge Knight, can you give us a little taste? I want you.
You want a little taste? I can give you a little taste. Hold on a second. We'll analyze the trailer, shall we? Let me find it.
You got a trailer.
Yeah. Right, let me just put that back here. And presents Suge Knight interview trailer. Sure. Make it big. And yell at me if you want me to stop.
In the Francis interview, you talked about Bieber going on romantic vacations with wealthy men. Is that normal in the industry? Young people getting groomed and drugged and manipulated?
And if you look at all the footage with him and Puffy or anyone else, you can tell something going on romantically. And if it was my child, somebody's going to have their teeth knocked out their mouth.
What do you think of that section?
Excellent. He said something which is very interesting. And this is something which is very unique. I think you and I had talked about it before. And people have oftentimes posited, by the way, is there more, or are you going to leave that up there? It's up to you.
Yeah, do you want me to keep going?
Oh, no, please. I thought that was it. No, go over and hear more.
No, there's 3 minutes. Here we go.
Oh, go. Like I got something better to do.
All those people who was involved with growing up as preachers, athletes, artists, can't just crucify one man. So therefore, at the end of the day, there's going to be people that is witnesses or there's going to be accomplices. But at the same time, all the people can do all the pointing the finger. But if you hang with Puffy all the time, everywhere you go, they go. And you with them when they arrest him, and nobody can handcuff. I ain't pointing the finger at Stevie J, but it looks really suspect. Puffy. All right, somebody hanging in each other. He says that all eyes on me. Now it's all eyes in the car. Now, that dude ain't never met Tupac in his life. I would drag their ass. And he constantly doing these shots. But at the same time, anybody want to talk about Pop because you got a relationship with Puffy. It ain't my business who's on the bottom, who's on the top. But all the allegations and the writing on the wall, something sexual going on. I mean, it's a guy named Dick Boy who I thought I probably would push him out the way before he won't get shot. Because he always been a good guy, and I never let out his secret. allegedly everybody knew that Big McKinney could send big boy gifts and send other people gifts in return for favors, bedtime favors.
Well,
There
Shaun
you go,
has left.
Lionel. Let me get rid of that.
Well, first,
Stop
I want to say,
sharing.
first of all, I want to say thank God we had we could read the subtitles, because I would have been I have no idea. And sometimes even when I understand what he's saying, I'm not sure I know what he's talking about. And I know you're very good at pretending you know that you know he's only talking, because sometimes he says things about I don't know what the hell he's talking about. But I sit there, go, You see, that's a problem, because if there's two eyes in the coffin, and that man's in nothing right. It's two, but he know, but the big boy don't want. Talking about that, right? And you're like, yes, indeed. And what did he say? I have no idea what I have no idea what he just said. But he said something before about the word romantic, and I want to explain this. And people have posited for the longest time, Shaun, about what is it that makes these people do this stuff? What is it? How do you explain this? And I've heard everything about going in, and I've heard this like seeking, going in and grabbing the energy, and yes, you're right, that is, but it's simpler. And some of the things, I don't want to pull an Occam's razor on you here, but sometimes the reasons are even simpler, and it's just demented, and there's nothing other than the fact it's been going on since the beginning of time. But he used the word, which is interesting, called romantic. And one of the things which you mentioned the word grooming. What these people do, first of all, you must, and I'm sure you know this, they are child psychology experts. They know behavior like you cannot believe. They know about people who need bringing up, and friendship and love and encouragement. They are, I'm serious, they're brilliant, because it's like prey and predator, knowing exactly what they want. But they want to seduce them, and grooming means to fall in love with a person. They're very, very patient. They're very patient. If these people, they're not predators, just grab somebody, throw them in there, be done, and move on. No. This is a very long and drawn out. And when you see pictures of people with their prey, look what I've got here. Look at this. Do you like this car? Huh? Yes. Well, if you play your cards right. And it's almost like this long, this seduction process, the courting, and the word grooming, it's kind of like it's I know the word is used. We have to change it, because as soon as people hear it, they immediately think it's something else. It's different. And the best part about it is that, where do we go from here with this? Do you know what's going to happen with this? Nothing. Do you think that anybody in the business is going to come forward? Do you think that anybody in our Congress is going to have a congressional hearing about what the music industry and the entertainment industry and the Broadway industry and the talent industry can do to prevent this from happening to other kids? They're not going to do anything about this. Do you think the government would be saying, we want kids and parents to know the following 4 signals? Never leave your kid alone. Always make sure they're watched, especially during auditions. Nothing will come of this. This is all salacious. Not you, mind you, but I'm saying you would think our government would do something. There would be standards, industry standards. Well, there goes the industry, because nobody cares about these people. See, that's the best part. Nobody cares, because I hate to say this, a lot of people look at these folks as being expendable. They're just people you don't know. They're special. They're marginally talented. Bunch of thugs. They ask for that. Who cares? Let's just move on. Let me ask you this. If you found out that, I'm dating myself, but Taylor Swift or Mariah Carey or the Osmonds, I'm trying to think of some big band or something. Remember when Menudo and others were talking about saying, what? What? He did what? When you have a bunch of, dare I say, white kids or non, you notice how people react differently to this? Remember the Menendez brothers? What the defense is about the father? If this were any other situation, they'd say, oh, But it's like, what? You mean to tell me? Now, I'm not trying to imply the notion of racism. I'm not, because I hate that word. It doesn't really make any sense anymore. But believe it or not, there is a kind of an acceptance of this, or a like, well, there you go. Well, it's a part of that, it's that culture. You don't know anything about the culture. Well, it's the Crips and the Bloods and the drive-bys and the music and the crap and the rap and they feel almost like, well, if you kind of ask for this lifestyle, it's like, wait a minute, no. That's not the way it is. But watch very carefully how it's portrayed. You're not getting a lot of, notice there's no sympathy in this. It's just intrigue. And what most people want to do is, who's he going to bring down? Nothing. Oh, okay. We'll see you. Have a nice day. Don't you want to hear how this case works out? Not really. Don't you want to find out if Justin Bieber? No. He made his millions. That's okay. He got a good deal. That's what people feel like. Oh, poor guy, crying all the way to the bank. I know a lot of victims who never got a penny, but this guy's a millionaire. He did okay. That's almost even more interesting, is the reaction that people have to this, in my humble opinion.
But Lionel, like when we spoke to Corey Feldman, he said laws were introduced to protect child actors now and changes have been made. Are you saying that nothing, kids will be protected when they're around these people in the music industry like they're protected in hot? No?
Well, they're very good with protecting as far as money and residuals. We had the Jackie Coogan laws. Remember him from Chaplin? He made all this money and his parents took it. Listen, this has been going around since the days of Judy Garland and everything. But there's something about, listen, we live in this ridiculous. Now, let me tell you about my world, and I can only speak for the United States here. We live in this sick, disgusting world that just got booted out of office, where, Shaun, they're talking about kids not being boys and girls, where they can be sexually mute. I'm hoping you can say this, but through puberty blocked and everything like that. We treat humans and children like chattel. They don't mean anything. You think anybody's going to go crazy about some kid, about Justin Bieber? We don't even care about some poor kid who is whisked off in the middle of the night to some teaching hospital to be mutilated because he dared to say, I think I feel like a girl. And we have people in our country, doctors, professors, learned members, Hippocrates, at first do no harm. And you think that we give a damn about Justin Bieber or Usher? I don't want to go into this because I happen to be pro-choice, whatever that means. But we talk about abortion like it's getting a root canal. We talk about pulling some baby out of them like it's nothing. We talk about war and what happens to kids in parts of the Middle East. Collateral damage. We give them a new name. Collateral damage. What are you going to do? You want to make an omelet? Got to make it break a few eggs. We dehumanize everything as part of this sick. You want to call us satanic? Go ahead. But there's this pervasive sickness here where kids don't mean anything. And we just don't care. We don't think of them as miniature adults. We don't think of them as growing up. Do you know how many people right now are listening to us who have been the victim of something? Nobody cares. How many times are parents in their own families, they say, "That's Uncle Dave. Don't bring that up. Let it go." This is all over the place. So I hope maybe at the end of, I don't know, something, somebody would say, if you have been the victim of something, get help. You notice how they're always interested in, dare I say, self-harm. How they always say, or they're very, very careful about that. And they always say, if you are you can say anything and you get these warnings like, hey, I was warning against it. But when it comes to this, anybody, any special warning? Nope. Any kind of advice for kids? This is where you can call. If you're currently being abused, if you're in a situation where you need help, anybody mention that? No, because kids are expendable. Nobody cares because we're a vile species we don't care about this. People are expendable. We kill them in war. We yank them out of uterus. We don't care about anybody. We just want to see somebody bring down. We just want to see get Oprah. That's all this is about. Who's he going to get? Who's he going to?
Lionel, we've got to have hope. there's this like a pendulum, and the pendulum goes to one extreme, and then there's a reaction, and it goes back, and then it goes to another extreme. And if you listen to Trump's speech about the transgender and the education in the kids and the influence on the kids, and Elon, what Elon's gone through with his trans kid, these guys are in a place now where they can help the pendulum go back the other way, don't you think?
Okay, first of all, don't give me that mamby-pamby milquetoast hope crap, okay? I love you. I'm serious. No, but you're right. I don't know what this hope means. What does that mean? No, I want action. If I'm your doctor and you're sick, I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, hey, Shaun, what? I got hope for you. The hell with the hope. Take this thing out. I can't do that, but I got a lot of hope for you. I don't even know what that means. No, you're right about this. There is an evil. There is an evil that is a part of the human species. It's been going on since day one. We are evil. We have no humanity. Let me tell you something. When people say, you know what, I think mankind is basically good. No, they're not. Mankind is basically not bad. Most people just don't do anything bad. They're not good. They don't do anything to help anybody. They don't care about anybody. They just don't hurt you. They don't actively seek to hurt you. There is a vileness in this world that is so disgusting. And you know what brought this out like you never saw? Social media. These devices. It's been some of the greatest things ever. But Shaun, it has gone into the hearts and the deep interstitial crevices of some of the vilest forms of human scum and slime, wastes of flesh, hominids who were so, and for years, they were just like a dormant herpetic lesion. They were just sitting, just waiting to come out like a cancer cell that just didn't get the right boost. And they were sitting back in their miserable lives, in their basements covered in Cheeto dust, just doing nothing. Miserable, human, just vile. And then all of a sudden, this came along. That's right, my wireless mouse. And you then could be anybody you wanted. And you could hide. You could be a thumbnail. And you can be real big and tough. And then you lived in this anonymous world. And people live in their devices. And then when they said, anything you want, any kind of perversion, disgusting, vile, paraphilia, any chronophiles, you name it, you can be just absolutely disgusting. And you can say, well, you know, I'm the only one who thinks it. Oh, no. We got a special chat room. We got a dark web. Are you kidding? There are millions of you. We'll normalize it. It's okay. In fact, you're mild compared to those folks. And when you put people in crowds and you let them kind of enjoy this, they kind of, it enlivens their own disgust. Think about the people in the world who will be willing to harm people and children and risk lives, prison for what exactly? There are people who say, I'll risk it. They won't rob a bank. They won't sell drugs. They won't, make any money, but they will risk their life to victimize a child. And there are millions of these people. What's the matter with us? And they always were there, but they didn't have the means of potentiating that. There's a picture today on YouTube. I don't know if you saw it. I keep saying YouTube. On X of this woman holding a doll. Little black, look like an African-American, but a doll. Have you seen this? You can see her picture. And she's holding this. It's the weirdest thing. And this baby looks like a baby. And I'm thinking, well, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe anything they want to. Maybe this person shouldn't be a parent, and maybe this will act as some kind of a facsimile, a simulacrum or something. There are so many demented people out there who are also going to be doing some terrible things of this. And then there's some politician who's going to want to say, I want to stop that. So let me just not go off into that tangent. But let me just tell you this much. The pendulum, I hope, swings back like a wrecking ball. And look what's happening. Have you ever seen the world? I feel so sorry for you in your UK. Oh my God, your freedom of speech. What is the matter? I can't believe. I thought it was bad here. But I'm saying, at least I don't have to go through what. How did this happen? How did you? We took our system of laws from you, and we're like this. Oh my God, poor thing. How is this being allowed? How is the radical left allowing this insanity to occur? Because I don't think, and I hate to use left and right, I don't think the right's saying this. Do you?
All right, we need to get deeper into your worldview before we move on to that subject, because I think you've read too much Camus and you're bordering on nihilism. And we've got a question here.
Nihilism is nothing.
What do you think the solution is, Lionel? Give us some hope.
The solution, first of all, is to encourage what's happening and to recognize, you call it hope. I say the patient is making an improvement. Maybe making a turn for the word, a turn for the better. Whatever you think about Donald Trump, this is a guy who I think is going to, he's signaling to the rest of the world a couple of things. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Joe Rogan. They came along and they are going to destroy provisional, archetypical, ridiculous shadow government mainstream media. God bless. May I read this? This is fascinating. For decades in gymnastics, figure skating, and even with the governing bodies like Safe Sport, doing nothing as weekly allegations shuffled aside on the competitive world level. They are disposable cups. Remember the whole, what those girls did, those poor girls? They'll remember the years of Bela Karolyi, and that's one doctor who was doing these exams. Oh, it was horrible. Kids who are, listen, that's a whole other story. Any child who goes through that, that's child abuse. Would you let your kid want to become an Olympic gymnastics? No, that's horrible. I know it's her life, but anything ever come from that? Anything ever happen with let me ask you this. Remember John Benet Ramsey? Okay. John Benet Ramsey, very interesting case, by the way. And that little girl was in that weird, creepy beauty pageant. And I thought she was living vicariously through the mother, Patsy Ramsey. It was one of the most demented thing I've ever seen. But that was an exact symbol or problem of what we're seeing here. I don't want to get too nihilistic or too Camus on you. I've never been accused of that.
So Keir Starmer is just a puppet for the globalists, and freedom of speech is getting wiped. People are getting put in prison for internet posts, and they're releasing the predators to make space for people who've been protesting against the government. It's Orwellian.
It's not even Orwellian. Orwellian would say, "Oh no, I didn't say that." Eric Blair, who is Mr. Orwell, would say, "Oh, I didn't say that." It's unbelievable. And here's the problem. It's the fact that you're becoming habituated to it. You should be in the streets. I've got a friend of mine who said something one time to me, which sounds disgusting, but it's very important. I hope this isn't violated. He says, "You know what?" He says, "There's more of us than them. We can drown them in our urine." I said, "Oh my God." He goes, No, think about it. There's more of us. They're not afraid of us. We're like these people that are just in this campus, like there's 4 guards. We can take them. But we're being used to it. We're ground down. We're habituated. We're conditioned. We're told, shut up. Oh, well. And what happens? We go back to our little device. I'll do whatever you want, but don't take me off of that. Don't take me off my Instagram. Yes, sir. I'll go along with this. Let me ask you a question, Shaun. What should not be said? I'll give you the answer. Nothing. Nothing should not be said. Now, I might be able to come up with a little bit of a condition. I might be able to say, out of decorum, I might be able to, safe haven, 8 o'clock. I don't think you should stand up anywhere in a church and start, But the idea is that I can say anything I want. I can maybe phrase it differently, but I can say it. I can say anything I want. Let me ask you the next question, Mr. Nihilist, or whatever it is. What do you wish you didn't know?
What do I
Answer,
wish that
you
I
didn't know. What information you say, I wish I didn't know this? Answer, nothing. Nothing. It's who you are. It's what made you. If I could go back in your life and take out one thing that never happened to you or that you remember, you're not you anymore. One, it's like the butterfly wings. I want to know everything.
But Lionel, sometimes it's like we go through things and our worldview suddenly changes. And when we look back at the old us who was oblivious to reality, there was kind of a comfort in that. And the stress level was way down.
Oh, yeah.
And now we know these things and the nightmares and the dark energy, and it's all in our subconscious.
And you think I'm weird? You need help. You really no. But I see what you're saying. But the bottom line is simply this: what are we doing? We're doing one of the biggest things right now. When I started in talk radio in 1988, there were like 3 networks. You were lucky to get a chance, and it was the worst, boring. I used to work with Rush Limbaugh. WABC. I worked with him down the hall. I mean, this was at the height of talk radio. It was nothing. It was so boring. What we need to do is we got to get away from cable. I don't know if you have that, but we have Fox News. This is it. I want to, and I don't want to get too American centric here, but I hope Elon Musk buys this MSDNC and makes it X television and puts on Alex Jones and himself and everybody they hate. Because remember, you only take flack when you're over the target. Alex Jones is one of the greatest people. He changed everything. Transformational. Put him on. But not on cable TV.
MSNBC is owned by Comcast, though.
Yes.
Do you know the other? Twitter. You'd have to buy Comcast.
I would do this, and I would change it, and I wish they could do things. You've heard of The View, right? These 4 harridans, these termagants, these meretrices, these hags, crones, shrews, these viragos, these harpies, these withered, mean, dried otios, these absolutely desiccated, concretized, ossified witches. And I'm being kind. I wish Elon would buy the show and put him on hiatus and say, I own you. You can't talk ever again. I own you. I'm going to pay you. Pay you whatever you want. You can't talk.
Got a question from Murph.
I'm sorry.
Lionel, you say language is important, though. Is there no wrong way to use language?
There is grammatically incorrect. There are rules, but as far as how to use language, no. The only thing you should never do is never do anything deliberately to abuse people, to be rude, to be discourteous. I think those are kind of self-enforced rules that we should evolve, and involve ourselves with. But no, I mean, no. There's really sometimes in the way people use it, the language is the most. I love it because I think there's so much to it, and I love accents, and I love linguistic relativity. Do you know that when you speak a different language, if you speak a language where adjectives come after the noun, you dream differently, you think differently. Everything is different. We have the biggest problem. We had a great show recently about this experimental university here in the States called University of Austin. And it's this idea of teaching kids how to think. And one of the things I wish we would do is get rid of institutionalized education, because it's indoctrination. It's absolutely, it destroys individual freedom. It kills. There's no critical thinking skills. We have to get rid of it. Homeschooling different pods. Do not let kids in governmental anything. It destroys them. You have to teach kids how to be kids. The things they need to do is you've got to make you can't put them in a little chair and you're going to wear a uniform and you're going to sit and we will. No, you destroy this. There's this beautiful, wonderful, nascent, yet to bloom humanity. And what do? We kill it. We kill it. We jab it with things and we shut up and sit down and don't say anything. And whatever curiosity they have, because remember, we teach kids how to hate. We teach racism. So anyway, under my rules, you wouldn't recognize this world if I ran it. You wouldn't recognize certain things. Schools would be, I don't know what they would be. I think we should have places for kids because most people use schools as daycare. And when you go to these daycare schools, if you're stupid, if you're a particular kid who is not college bound or university bound, we teach you a trade or we give you a certificate of attendance. And we say, here you go. You went to Dartford on Essex on Wetherington. Great. Here's your certificate. Now get out of here. Because you're not going to learn anything and we're not going to waste your time. But there's this kid, Shaun Attwood here. We want to talk to him. We're going to work with him. He's got talent. You don't. And if you change your mind, you can come back. We waste our time thinking everybody is the same. You have different talents than I do. And I would hope that our government would want to exploit our individual talents.
You're just another brick in the wall, Lionel. So Shrine wants your thoughts on MK Ultra.
Oh, declassified? Absolutely. I would not be surprised if, by the way, that's my code word for I think. I say, I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't shock me. But Mark David Chapman, who killed John Lennon, I would not be surprised if he was not a version of that. By the way, the Dakota is not too far from us. On 72nd, where John Lennon was killed. In fact, the hospital is not too far from us. This was his kind of place. I would not be surprised if Sirhan, who said right away, I don't remember anything about this. Sirhan, by the way, who they found powder deposition behind Bobby Kennedy's ear, and he was like across the room. Come on. Anyway, MK Ultra, absolutely. MK Ultra, mind control, anything that it is so prevalent, perhaps maybe to this day. And the indoctrination that is not necessarily just drugs being given to you, but just the way we're taught to think. It's like we live in a kind of an MK Ultra world. It's MK for mind control. Oh, absolutely. I don't even think we know the half of it. If you knew what people did, if you knew what was done. Let me ask you something. I want everybody listening right now to answer this question. Have you ever been thinking of something? I think we talked about this. Thinking. And all of a sudden, on your phone or on your computer, there's an advert for something. You say, I was just thinking this. And you think, okay, that was odd. That might have been serendipitous. Might have been just, But then you know, it happened again. Do you think there's any chance of this? That somewhere along the line, somebody figured out a way, something to figure out how we think and telepathy. Is that possible? Is that impossible? Yes or no? If it's impossible, fine. Is it possible? You're goddamn right that's possible. Of course it's possible. But it's happening. I'm telling you. Do you believe in psychic worlds? Do you really think there are people who can see things, hear things, predict things? Yes or no, Attwood? Yes or no?
Our ability to sense things has been dampened by modern society. If you go back thousands of years, people were really tuned into those senses that you're describing.
It's like there was this, we were born and somehow they did like this little tuning fork. Here you go. This is yours. If you didn't know, if you didn't have a radio, you would swear there were no radio waves. You wouldn't know anything. We pick up on things we can't even describe. And while I don't necessarily advocate this, I do advocate the concept. There is going to be a way of unplugging I love the word, the Bezor, this hairball in this, I don't know what it is, that if you remove it, that thing that opens up this new channel that goes from a antenna to cable to Wi-Fi, and you're picking up things you never even thought possible. But governments and societies wanted to shut that down in order to control you through food, diet, processed foods, a psychiatric and psychological, also dampening indoctrination, killing the spirit, dampening your sense of creativity, your sense of wonder, of excitement, of adventure. There's many, many ways to kill it. And with that comes the turning off of that sentience, that fine-tuned ability to appreciate frequencies. I know this, whenever you say this, because I'm really not a spiritual person in the least, but I know this to be true. I know this. And if ever you want to see something weird, look at a mother and her child. That is the weirdest. Twin studies, but also mother and child. To grow something in a woman, all of a sudden, it's weird. It's fabulous.
Question from Sims on the YouTube community wall. Hi, Lionel. Now the US is on the right track. Is there any hope for the UK? So if there's a pendulum and the pendulum's coming back the other way in America,
yes,
isn't America the dominant force for the UK?
I hope not. But yes. But let me tell you something. This is what I want to do. We have this thing in our country called the Surgeon General, and we have the Attorney General, and we have the there's another general. But anyway, I want to be the Psychologist General. And I want to be the guy who works for President Trump. And I want to be the person who says, I'm the guy who works on mind control for the country. And what I want to do is this. The only way we're going to make free speech viable and possible is if we make it cool. I got this guy named Elon Musk. He's worth $300 billion, maybe $304 billion. He's cool. See, throughout history, there were rich people. We had Howard Hughes, who was a billionaire. There were people like Carnegie and Mellon. Yeah, but they okay, whatever. Then in the 80s here, we had Richard Mellonscape. We had these groups of conservatives who formed the Heritage Foundation. But Elon. Oh, forget Steve Jobs, Zuckerberg. Those are dorks, weirdos, strange. Elon is cool. Elon said, well, Elon says so. Hey, free speech is cool. Okay. And then we bring in this guy, Joe Rogan. Now, Joe Rogan is interesting. I look, Joe Rogan, thank him. He and you work symbiotically. The bigger he gets, the bigger you get. And he hit something. He can say things, Shaun, that years ago we couldn't say, but he can say it. And all of a sudden, other people are saying things about 9/11, Building 7, geoengineering. I'll take a picture. I want everybody to go to my my Twitter account at Lionel Media. And I took a picture looking out from New York, Manhattan, looking out over the Hudson River across Jersey. And at night, you can see it right now, when the sun goes down in a sleepy little town, well, China Grove. But when the sun goes down every night, you see these beautiful geoengineering streaks. Have you ever talked to a Dane Wigington from geoengineeringwatch.org? Oh, I've been wondering about, I said, they're spraying something. And they told me for the longest time, you're crazy. You're out of your mind. I said, no, look. Now, I kept with it. I didn't give up. And all of a sudden, they said, okay, we admit it now, but it's called geoengineering, not chemtrails. It's like you got to get the word right. And now all of a sudden it opened up. And I can say that now. And people can say that because of people like Elon. We have something in this country called World Trade. I was here, my wife and I were here on 9/11. On that Tuesday morning. We were here. I can tell you stuff. It was wild. And at 5:20 p.m. that day, nobody knows this. Maybe you know this. We had this Building 7 that just wasn't hit by anything. Nobody's talked about it. And when I talk about it, they say, what are you talking about? And I said, this goes back to what you said. Where's the curiosity? Where is this? What? Tell me about it. Where can I read about this? They say no. No. Go away. This is the way we think. Let me tell you something. Something happened to our curiosity, this sense of, I've got to know this. This is killing me. I've got to know that word. How do you? We don't have that. It's like, oh well. How many times have you had somebody in your channel or your ask you a question and say, God damn it, look it up. What does that word mean, Shaun? Look it up. Okay, I gotta move. They dampened us. They turned down the idle switch or our motor, something. It's that, like you said, whatever this sentience or this connection, we don't have it anymore. What is the question that you want to? If I said, Shaun, you're not going to believe this. I've got God here. And God says, I'll answer any question you want. One question, just one. You don't have to die. I'll answer one question. What's the one question? Just one. And it can't be too personal, like who's shagging, what? No. You got to give a big question. What would be the one question that keeps you up at night that you would give anything to know about?
How many coffees has Lionel had today?
Come on. This is nothing. This is who I am. This is the way I got to stay away from people. No, the question I want? Very simply this. Ask everybody the question, the one question. It's like, do me a favor, God. Who was the one who actually pulled the trigger on Kennedy? I want his name. I want his picture. How many were they? Who shot him? Was it Lucien Sarti? Was it Badge Man with a frangible bullet? Where was it? Who was the guy? Tell me how, and tell me about him. A little bit about going to work that day. You're going to be the shooter, probably more than one, but the main guy. You're it. They'll never know who you were. You will be responsible for changing everything on November 22nd, 1963. Who was it? What happened to him? How did he get there? Did they kill him? What was the angle? Where did he shoot? Forget even how he got there. That's the question I want to know. That's the question. It just, everything else is, have you ever heard JFK researchers? They don't tell you anything. You don't learn anything.
What about Jim Mars? Jim Mars?
They're interesting. You see, now Tippit, J.D. Tippit was an officer. They shot him with a 38. Didn't have a 38, it was a 45. And he took the bus to the boarding house. They go, what the hell does this have to do with anything? Who shot him? I don't know. But J.D. Tippit, and they'll point to arcane things, and they never tell you anything. You ever hear about the UFO stuff? Elizondo? And we saw these items, these things that flew at speeds that cannot be mimicked or replicated by known human. Well, what is it? I don't know. And they say the same thing. And isn't that fascinating? No, it's not fascinating. I don't know it. And here's the gimbal. Rendlesham Forest happened in the UK. Great story. 1970, 80, whatever it was. Incredible story. What do we know? I don't know. Got any pictures? Got a recording of it? Any pictures? No. Did he ever land? No. I'm tired of that. That's the false promise. It sounds like we're learning something, but we're not.
What's your thoughts on the current UFO Congress hearings? That's from Murph.
This is my theory. Right here. Waste of time. They're not going to tell you anything. They're not going to tell you anything. They're not. They're going, it's called a limited hangout. You know the concept, right? It's an important intel concept. It's a limited hangout. The limited hangout is when you let something out of the bag that's really unimportant. That's a portion of the big picture, and you satisfy people's sense of curiosity. You don't tell them anything, but they don't know this. You go, well, we had there. Wow, that was something. No, that wasn't anything. There are the stuff that we're going to find out. I wouldn't be surprised if the people who are keeping that quiet has nothing to do with the government. I'll bet you that every president of the United States, the Queen, is not privy to every layer of everything top secret. There used to be this idea that there was top secret, the 5 letters, Ultra, Umbra, Zebra, all that. Those were the highest. Maybe 2 or 3 people had those. You don't think Trump knows about flying saucers? Do you think that we have them around? Do you believe that we have a retro or reverse engineered these things? Philip Corso's book, where he said that we figured out night vision via goggles and lenses through their eyes. We figured out the vacuum or the transistor light. What am I trying to say? Anyway, certain technology that we learned from this. It's how did we get the transistor all of a sudden? I mean, this is, and by the way, I'm going to say one thing before I forget. What Joe Rogan has done, he has allowed people to just wonder. Say, wow, how did they build the pyramids? And how did they do this? I'm a big fan of Lex Friedman. Not the most exciting guy in the world, but let's face it. Lex Friedman, did you ever watch him?
Yeah.
Lex Friedman could single-handedly reverse teen pregnancy by explaining the sex act. And the man becomes tumescent, and the corpus cavernosa become engorged. Okay, that's all right. No, I got more. That's all right, Lex. But his guests are just because artificial intelligence that's worth the price of admission right there.
So SM wants to know if you believe aliens live in the ocean, because that's what the hearings told us.
Why not? How many times do you have to hear somebody who says he saw this thing go in and then come back out, or travel underwater at speeds that the viscosity of the medium would not allow? Well, why shouldn't I believe that? We put people in prison for the rest of their lives for an eyewitness. Why shouldn't I believe an eyewitness on a carrier deck who sees this? What, are they making this up? Sometimes anybody who says this today risks being called a lunatic, and I kind of believe them more. So unless I have reason to disprove them, once I listen to their testimony, why wouldn't that be true?
Predictive programming is the theory that the government or other high-ups are using fictional movies or books as a mass mind control tool to make the population more accepting of planned future events. And you're being asked for your thoughts on it from Robin.
Well, predictive programming is one thing where we get to predict what you're going to do. Minority Report. Always look at things that you think are just mere kind of a silly movies are always prescient, vatic, Pythonic. We used to have the movie, the Tom Clancy movies. Tom Clancy, Clear and Present Danger, all PSYOP, all CIA. They gave it to them. There used to be on the website for CIA, if you're interested in making a movie, use us and we'll provide you with military bases, places to shoot, equipment, but we get to approve it. Oh, it's complete. How many people do you think right now? Have you seen all these military shows? All these guys are talking about being a Navy SEAL. That was Delta 6. Yeah, I was in there in Iraq. Yeah, they're all covered in tats. And they're all talking about how great war was. I was SEAL Team 6. I was SAS. Yeah, buddy.
Now they're talking about how they can win a nuclear war with Russia.
We'll get to that in a moment. Predictive programming is the theory the government higher-ups are using fictional movies, yes, to mind control, to tool to make the population more accepting of planned future events. Yeah, that's one thing. But predictive programming is also where I can take certain data. They use them in the UK, where you take metadata, rain, temperature, history. Where are people more likely to involve themselves in criminal activities or whatever? Let's talk about nuclear war. We're not going to see some big. No, we're not going to see that. Nancy Jacobson, her great book on nuclear. We're not going to see this, but you're going to hear one day that a tactical nuclear weapon was detonated. Not a lot of fallout. Something like I think there's a Davy Crockett, they call it. It's a recoilless. You can carry in a backpack. It is a nuclear weapon. Not a lot of fallout. The good news is the new thermonuclear don't have fallout. Those are the fissile materials. This is fusion. However, it just destroys everything. You're not going to do that. What you're going to hear, and what I would do is I would recommend to the president, is that we're going to have a low orbit, kind of like the Chinese. Did you ever hear about our weather balloon? These Chinese balloons that just flew over? Something low orbit that detonates, that takes out your grid, everything. I'll fly over, London or, Newcastle, whatever it is, and just watch what you do. Everything. It's not there anymore. You're sitting there. What would people do? No internet, no clocks, no cash machine, no grid. Nobody dies. No, nothing. I would sit back and say, what will they do? And at first there'll be this kind of confusion. And then the bad guys rise. See, Shaun, it's like sometimes these poor ladies, maybe if you're watching, this is a terrible analogy, but sometimes if you take antibiotics, you get a yeast infection because a good bacteria gets killed off. Lactobacillus gets killed off, and you get Monilium and candidiasis, and next thing you know, you're a mess. You look like a fromagerie, okay? Well, whenever there is a decrease or a decline of order, the bad people come up. And being in my world, I'm going to say, I only work well when there's complete confusion. Then we get into our favorite, the Hegelian dialectic, and they're going to say, please do something. Problem, reaction, help, solution. Okay, I'll help you. But listen, we got to make sure this doesn't happen again. So that may mean that I'm going to restrict a little bit of your freedom. That's okay. As long as I get my Instagram back. As long as I get my Facebook back. Okay, I'll do that. But understand something. This was a terrorist that did this. So in order for us to do this, we have to be a little bit more careful and wary and chary of people. Okay, I'll do it. See how that works? Next thing you know, I do it again. But you're not going to want to detonate a bomb. World War III, it doesn't even make any sense. But by the way,
what do you think of Putin's new missile then?
Is he not the coolest customer? When he never loses his he has that one arm that moves. Remember that from the years? The one arm is from the gun from the KGB. One arm moves, the other one doesn't. Watch the way he walks. And I'm doing this at Lionel Media. I pinned this lecture, if you will, by Jeffrey Sachs explaining Ukraine. It is brilliant about how we double-crossed the Russians. We double-crossed them and how this started. And Putin came along. He was going to work something out with Zelensky. But your guy, Boris Johnson, said, oh, no, you don't. Oh, no, you don't. They could have ended this because we have this thing called...
Boris Johnson has got the lives of 600,000 people on him, as far as I'm concerned, telling Zelensky not to sign for peace, be brave, fight on, we've got your back. Mass murder.
He's a psychopath. He has no appreciation for consequence, and he has there's no head and heart connection. There's no empathy. It's like, those are human beings. I'm just doing my job. I'm just following orders. That's the way it goes. NATO is this wonderful device that made a lot of sense until there was no more Soviet Union. And George Kennan, who was the grand man, said, shut down NATO. And Putin said, excuse me, can we join NATO? What? Can we join NATO? Get the out of here. What? Join NATO? Well, there's no more Soviet Union. We're Russia. Wait a minute. No, NATO's about Soviet Union. It doesn't exist anymore. What about the EU? Can we join you too? No. Why not? Because you're Russia. That's the point. So he said, oh, so this really isn't about the Soviet Union. Another thing they did was to show you how they play with this. In 1990, they met with James Baker. Gorbachev, like a fool, didn't get this in writing. There was an agreement. We will unify, for you, bring down the wall and blah, blah, blah. And we will not take one step 1 foot east, NATO will not move. Don't worry about it. He goes, are you sure? Absolutely. Okay. And here comes Bill Clinton right away. And they just proliferated. And they said, you made an agreement. They said, no, we didn't. Yes, you did. Well, they found the minutes at George Washington University, and sure enough, it was made. We lied to them. We lied. But here's the best part. When they went and they said, you lied to us, it's, excuse me, we made a deal with the Soviet Union. We didn't make a deal with you. There is no more Soviet Union. Can you believe this? I mean, and I'm a lawyer, and I'm thinking, you sack of what? And when you're in my country, we have what, 700, 800 military bases around the world? I don't blame people for not liking us. Americans don't have any say of this. I'm still trying to figure out Vietnam. I don't even understand what the hell that was about. I mean, this is...
So, Keir Starmer was out there last month salivating, trying to get Biden admin to approve these long-range missile strikes into Russia. And now suddenly it's happened. Keir Starmer was turned down, but now suddenly it's happened. What's your interpretation of that with Trump about to come in? Are they trying to create problems for Trump?
Don't you love when you ask an obvious question? When you are, because I say this, that's what I say. Do you remember when you were in, I don't know what you call it, but when we were in high school and you were a senior in high school, the last day they just said, you're gone. They didn't announce the last day because they were afraid you would tear everything up and you would, you never be back. So they're kind of doing, it's called senioritis. They're kind of doing this. They're figuring we're going to leave right now. And we're going to leave Trump with the biggest bunch of crap he has ever seen. Now, Trump is going to sit there and say, I knew you were going to say that. So don't be surprised if all of a sudden he picks up the phone, because already they're talking about Hezbollah and Israel making agreements. It's like, what? Ceasefire? What? That's another story. But don't be surprised if Trump doesn't pick up the phone and say, Vlad, yeah, Operation B, got it, and it's done. And it ends. Because nobody wants this. And we have a president right now who is walking around yelling, who ordered the veal cutlet? He doesn't even know where he is. He doesn't know where he is. Shaun, you don't understand this. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't understand anything. The closest thing we ever had was Woodrow Wilson, who had a stroke. And he was mildly sentient. And his wife pretty much ran the show. He doesn't know. Would you let, a friend of mine asked a question, would you let Joe Biden drive you home from the airport? This is who we are. And the person we were going to put in was a woman who was so bereft of minimal mentation. It's embarrassing. The whole world must have said, Jesus Christ, what are you? This is the United States? You've never had that. I hope I'm not stepping on any toes, but I liked your Maggie Thatcher. Now, I know she may not have been perfect, but I love people who were tough.
Well, she's the one who told the Bush crime family that if you want to get your popularity up, go to war.
Listen, I'm sorry. I appreciate that. I think now is a little bit different because we don't have the Falkland Islands. We don't have little things. We've got serious war. And there really isn't. What's the purpose of this? You know where the war is? The war is internal. Our enemy is this intellectual, these horrible people, these cartels. And we have in this country a fentanyl. I don't know if you have this, but people who aren't even doing drugs will take an aspirin or something that they think they're not even trying to do drugs, and they're dying. They're falling over. And it's part of the cartel. And let me tell you what I would do. And I'm not one of these, people who I would tell the president of Mexico, I know where these people are. They're coming from your country and you're looking the other way. You have until Thursday at noon. I'm telling you, we have everything targeted. We know where everything is. Unless you do something, we're going to take out the Sinaloa cartel first, right there. So tell everybody to get out. I'm telling you, we're going, and we know who they are. And it would stop like that immediately.
Question from Sophia. What does Lionel think about the international arrest warrant issued for a Ukrainian man for bombing the Nord pipeline? He was probably working for the CIA, wasn't he?
You think he did it? I would say, okay, listen. Tell me how you did it. How did you swam down to the what? This was so obvious. Did you read who was it? Seymour Hirsch, Cy Hirsch? This come on. Does anybody, and if I were Germany, I'd really be pissed off. It's like, what? Don't say anything. But you think about this. Oh, yeah, speaking about
Germany's getting destroyed for signing on for this nonsense.
I don't know what they're doing. Let me ask you this: what do you think about Netanyahu and the International Criminal Court and international ICJ and international courts seeking or trying to extract or extend jurisdiction to a country that may or may not have signed off on it? I mean, I can understand. Yeah, it makes sense. But wait a minute. Who are you again? You're going to come to my and arrest because I understand it. I'm very torn about that. Very torn. I understand the theory behind it, but international courts, the UN, globalism.
Didn't they indict Putin for something? And they were all cheering for that. And now the same people are all saying,
yes. There's a word for it. In Spanish, it's caca del toro. It's merde. It's ridiculous. How about when Milosevic, get that bastard, they call it the International Caucasian Court. If it's some African leader, whatever the hell it is, I can't believe this. And what also drives me nuts about this, and I don't want to get into the Israel because I don't know about if you go through this, but here it's like the third rail. But don't tell me that I'm anti-Semitic because I say something against Israel government. I'm not saying anything about Jews, Judaism, Jewry. I say things about my own country all the time. That's my duty. It's what I do. Nobody tells me, you're an anti-American. But this nonsense about trying to shut me down. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm an anti-Semite. Wait a minute. I'm a racist. I'm a misogynist. I'm a transphobe. Anything else? This is how they shut down free speech. This is what they do. They tell you what you can and can't talk about. It's just, I can't believe this. And I don't know about you, because I always have, and please don't disabuse me of this delusion, but I would think that living in the UK, you're more international, you're more aware of things. You can drive and be in another country. You have passports. You go on holiday. I live in a country where very few people have passports. We don't go anywhere. We don't know where anything is. We go to the beach, So I trying to discuss anything international here it's just a waste of time. They know nothing about it. They know absolutely nothing about it. After 9/11, we went to Iraq and Afghanistan because of 9/11. What the hell does that have to do with anything? And they told me that, not now. What do you mean not now? Not now. Don't bring this up now. Don't you know what we've been through? I said, yeah, I was here. What does Iraq have to do with 9/11? And they never answered the question. I still can't even explain to you Vietnam. I can't explain it.
Tony Blair would beg to differ.
Oh, he came out like a champ. He was the template for post-governmental money, like nobody's business. He was it. Who was your lady, your prime minister, who was in power for an hour? What was that about? What was her name?
Can't even remember. She was so short-lived. Can't even remember.
What was? I thought, man, they must have some dirt on her. They said she wasn't even moved in. They didn't even actually. They said, you know what? I changed my mind. What? Have a nice day. And did they do a thing like a look back? The reign of, what was that about? And because we don't really understand the whole PM thing. We don't get it. We don't understand it. We pretend. I love your screaming and yelling. Well, the honorable man I love Boggs. What's his name? The fellow who talks like this, Boggs, Ian Clifton. He has the glasses. You know who he is. He's the Etonian. You know who I'm talking about. Anyway,
Mr. Speaker.
Love him. Oh, conspiracy.
But first, Lionel,
yes.
Isn't the power of these people, hasn't it been so institutionalized over the ages that it doesn't matter which prime minister comes and goes, the agenda is maintained. And they actually let these people come and go so the public can throw rotten apples and carrots and stuff at them and feel as if, give them hope. I know you like that word, hope, of change.
Well, first of all, I'm glad you brought that up. It's not change I want improvement. If I said, yes, Mr. Attwood, your tumor has changed. Oh, thank you, doctor. Don't you want to know how it's changed? Is it larger? No, it's just change. Change is not always a good thing. I want improvement. Next, this is government. This is the left-right paradigm. Two sides of the same coin. You got this side and you got that side. And Carol Quigley in Tragedy and Hope said that we think of the political parties as two drunks walking home together, holding each other up. And then every 4 years you throw the bums out and you feel like, oh, look, we've done something. I don't know if little Ziggy has done this, but you know these little car seats where you put them in and they have a little steering wheel? They go, look, you're driving. Yeah, I'm driving. That's the way we are. Look, we're voting. That's good. Look, we're in charge. That's my man. And we're in charge of anything. This is a scripted routine, the likes of which nobody has ever seen. The people in charge you've never seen. Remember, if you hear a name, they're not in charge. The people who are in charge, you never know who they are. Whether it's a central bank, is Bank of International Settlements, whether it's a Soros clone, whether it's somebody, I think the royal family has more to say than anybody will ever give them credit for. I think they're the most powerful people around, but they seem so quaint and, goofy. And there are people who are making rules right now. And the thing that is the most important is going to be BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, BRICS plus 6 or whatever. Holy God. When this thing, you've got Iran and you've got MBS and the Emirates and, oh my God, and this is Russia, China, India. Oh. If I went to Times Square, you've heard of this. This is where we have the New Year's Eve and they drop the ball every year. Thousands of people right now. If I had $1,000, do you know what BRICS is? They might think a brick in the wall, maybe a Roger Waters reference. You have no idea. On Fox News, which is the prototypical, the conservative cable news outlet, they never mention it. It doesn't exist. They just had one of the biggest meetings. It doesn't exist. We talk about the G7, but never anything about that. Never hear about the Houthis. Do you love the idea that if I told you in this country, Iran, they're all crazy. They're all evil. They're a theocratic bunch of nuts who inspire and send out terrorism, and they're evil and they're awful. And we can go to anybody go to their country, bomb them, kill them and their embassies in different countries and get away with it because they're evil. Try that with us. Another story. And we are told this. And don't you love the way they talk about, anti-Semitism, which of course exists. Well, how do you think that started? By using the same methodology. Keep talking about them. Dehumanize them. You're just disgusting. They're different gods and they wear a funny hat and they're theocratic. And look, they're primitive and it's okay if we kill them and they hate us and they hate our freedom and there are people who believe this. And if you keep saying it, over and over again. And I'm thinking, does anybody here see what's happening? Does anybody grasp? It's really mind control. Speaking of MK Ultra.
Yeah, the barbarians, the colonialists versus the barbarians, tapping into nationalism. And I think Howard Zinn coined the two-party system more concisely than Quigley. He said it was the illusion of choice.
Yeah, right.
I really like that one. Miss
But-
T, what is the definition of conspiracy?
Conspiracy comes from the Latin word conspirare, which means to breathe with, to breathe together. And the conspiracy deals with the association, an agreement between you and me, two or more guilty people planning to do something untoward, wrong, evil, whatever it is. The word you use, the way people use the word conspiracy, means crazy. I'm a conspiracy theorist means this is a crazy idea. Well, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. I said, well, this isn't a conspiracy. You've got to point out the conspiracy is merely the arrangement. In our system of laws, in our system, we charge people both with committing the crime and with the conspiracy. Just the association, the confederation, we hate. There's nothing to do with what you did. We just don't want you talking to other people and planning stuff. So what we do is we use that to use the word crazy. You're crazy. That has nothing to do with conspiracy. Gore Vidal said he's not a conspiracy theorist. He's a conspiracy analyst. And he also said that it has become an article of faith where you have to say you do not believe in conspiracy theories. You have to say this. It's this thing that because we don't want you. And by the way, there's a document that our own CIA came up with, which basically details the weaponization of conspiracy theory. The term was used since in the 19th century and way before that, but the weaponization of it to mean you're crazy, you're a lunatic. And look how easy people clap along. They're told to hate conspiracy theories. They are told, and what it does is, what does it do? It kills independent thinking. Don't forget what Tolstoy said. History would be a wonderful thing if only it were true. So in my country, if you were to say, do you believe that there could be anything to us not having landed on the moon? You go, that's a conspiracy theory. No, that would be a lie. The conspiracy might be the people who planned to bring this about. That's over here. That's the organizational part of the lie. One of the biggest conspiracy theories is religion. I don't want to bother anybody with that, but that's one where you don't even, because not only are you a conspiracy theorist, you're a heretic, you're a sinner, you're you know, that's my favorite subject because I'm a retired Catholic, not recovering, I'm retired, and I grew up with this. And nobody will talk about it with me because I don't want to, because I respect anybody's faith. But if I were to discuss it with them, oh no, that's heretical. You're a blasphemer. And I'm saying, no. I'm just kind of like, I'm irreligious. I also don't speak French. I don't understand French. I'm not saying French doesn't exist. I don't speak God. I'm kind of like with the Dalai Lama. We don't believe in creators per se. Doesn't mean we're bad people. Anyway, I shouldn't go there.
It's a good question. What does Lionel think about the New York AG resigning today? And I'd like to know what you think about the Gates situation, the honey trap.
Well, I think what you're talking about is the New York U.S. attorney might be different. We have we have a how do we say this? We have a state attorney general, but there's a fellow who was the U.S. attorney, and it's a pro forma thing because they sit at the pleasure of the president, and everybody just turns in their letters of resignation. It's pro forma. What's going to happen though is, what does this do for Diddy? What does it do if you have this new administration that says, I don't want this piece of crap case. Don't look at me. Hey, I don't want it. You know what? And it's a great way for Diddy to punt it, because the new guy can say, the guy before me screwed this all up, and I don't want to let this guy go, but in the interest of justice, it might behoove him to, we'll take a plea deal, dispose of it. So this could behoove him or benefit him greatly. We wanted to go back to the Diddy thing. This is the part that, again, it's one of the greatest cases that the more people talk about it, the more they are habituating people to the story, and the way people are kind of getting tired of it. You know what I mean? There's no, it's not like O.J. Simpson. That was a great case. That kind of had a who did it, done it. This is a different story, because what he's being charged with has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
You're getting asked what kind of blackmail honey trap scheme they ran on Gates.
Well, remember something. It always helps for there to be something that they can exploit. Now, I don't know the facts of the case, but they say, did you know a 17-year-old? Well, did your son that you adopted, who's like 30 years old or whatever it is, was there? Well, so there was something there, so to speak. I don't know if it might pale by comparison. But here's a question that I'm thinking: what the hell was Trump thinking? Now, his replacement, Pam Bondi, by the way, a friend of mine from my hometown, we worked together at the same prosecutor's office. She's superb. Why didn't they go to her right away? Now, Hegseth is going to be interesting. This is the fellow who's going for Secretary of Defense, who was one of the Fox News people, who has this Jerusalem star, all these tattoos, and they're waiting. I don't know what the allegations are. He paid somebody. Things were investigated. Why Trump picks? There's so many great people. See, here's the guy I would pick. Somebody who say, who? That's the guy I want. Somebody who does what I want, doesn't make a lot of noise. Remember, I'm the president. I'm the star. You get somebody who's been on TV, who's going to have to be told, excuse me, I'm in charge here. By the way, did you see what Gates is doing? He's doing Cameo, that Cameo app, where you have an account and you can pay $500 for Gates to say happy birthday to your grandmother and wish her the best. And they're thinking, have you seen this? It's really sad. He says, hi, this is Matt Gates, your favorite, and Sarah, you and Winona, happy birthday. And I hope the gallbladder surgery turns, and tell Uncle Ed that don't worry, a little blood in his stool, there's nothing to worry about. What is going on here? This guy he was going to be the attorney general, and now he's doing shout outs to complete strangers. It's a bit strange.
All
Tulsi Gabbard's the one you got to watch for. Watch that.
Here's a serious question then. So my definition of a politician is someone who says whatever the public wants to hear to get the votes, and then does the complete opposite. They just do whatever the vested interest. So do you perceive that Trump is signaling through these people he's choosing what his actions are going to be? And in that case,
yes.
Do we have hope with the trans stuff, with the free speech stuff in those
Absolutely.
areas? But in other areas,
yes,
it's looking precarious.
He did. Well, no. I don't think it matters. I think what he did was one of two things. First of all, he did something that nobody's ever done before. Number one, he's got Elon Musk. Elon Musk is living at the Mar-a-Lago. He's there all the time. And I say, keep him there. This is the richest man in the world, and he's there all the time. Fine. No problem. I predict Trump is not going to be in the White House. He's going to be in Florida. He's going to change things. First of all, he, after having one and actually three collective assassination attempts, most probably should pick a band of ninjas to protect him. I'm dead serious. I mean, actual ninjas wearing black, throwing stars and the whole bit. That's number one. Number two, he is going he has Vivek Ramaswamy, and who's almost a billionaire, with the richest man in the world, and they have this Doge, the Department of Governmental Efficiency, and they're setting the tone. And Elon is responding to everything through X. Then you have Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan now is listening. He has millions of people who are listening to him talk about everything from vaccines to this and that, whatever you're, but actually touching third rail subjects nobody talked about. Then he's got people like Dana White. And these are folks who are, this is, UFC and everything. Then you have coteries, cabals, covens, cadres of people in the rap community, people who are people that would have never been a part of Republican politics. He's not, it's cool. They're all doing the dance. They're doing the dance to one of the gayest songs ever, YMCA, which is nothing wrong with that. But why? So do you, plus he's now going after, through Elon, we're going to go after this. He said his own son was, or affected by this. Now they're targeting classic woke radical left television shows. This momentum, it's never been seen before. He's made Trump cool. People love him. The left doesn't know what to do. And that is setting the tone elsewhere. You in London, you in the UK are beneficiaries of this. We used to say when Europe sneezes, we get a cold. Well, you're going to get pneumonia, because what this is right now is, this is across the board. Wait till you see this fellow. Have you seen our fellow named Tom Homan? He's the border czar. This guy looks like a football coach, and he can't wait. And he's in a position that is not subject to Senate approval. He's just in. You're going to see people picked up and thrown on buses. Huge, massive deportation. Massive. And they're not going to know what to do. They're going to say, you can't do this. And I predict, and my wife, by the way, predicts this. She's very smart. Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. That we're going to see, remember how we had our George Floyd moment? George Floyd was a thug. He was a drug addict and a thug who died in police custody, maybe because of a compression on the neck, or maybe because of some overdose. But he was a waste of flesh. And all of a sudden, through this weird apotheosis and beatification, they elevated him to this level of star. And we had riots left and right. Black Lives Matter, this group of people, nobody knows what they did or where they're from or where the money went, and a group called Antifa, which were anti-fascists. These were stormtroopers in brown shirts who basically were domestic terrorists. We couldn't believe what happened, and the police didn't lift a finger. Well, they're itching right now. So in addition to sending the missiles to Ukraine, you're going to see people mobilize to violently protest. In my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised, these deportations. And you're going to hear people say this. What do you do with a child? What do you do with the child? You put the child in the family and they get out. What if the child's born here? They get out. What does this mean? If my wife and I come to the UK and we have a baby's born, I guess is a British citizen, I don't know. What do we do with the child? We take him back with us. It's our child. Nobody asked that question. But for some reason, because of this, so this is going to be the last gasp. Because remember, the left, they want chaos, destabilization. They want anger. They want riots. They love it. They hate calm. They hate order. So get ready. And I think with Trump, I think he cannot wait.
But what about the neocon warhawks?
We're all going to be there. They're always going to be there. Let me ask the question. Do you understand the definition of a neocon versus a hawk? versus a war profiteer versus a military industrial complex. The term neocon is a term of art, and it comes from Leo Strauss, University of Chicago. These were lapsed Trotskyites. These were once liberals who believed that the government, the United States in particular, should take our magnanimity and our power and spread it all over the world for good. And their only problem with the Vietnam War is we didn't finish. And they were these people like they called them Scoop, this fellow, Scoop Jackson. They were a lot of Democrats. But they were the neoconservatives. Or actually, remember, they started off as lefties. Now, we have something called paleoconservatives. These are the old-fashioned guys. Ronald Reagan, Maggie Thatcher. They like war to an extent. William F. Buckley, Pat Buchanan. These are like the old. They don't really like to go to war everywhere, but they don't want to spread, glory and liberty and all that nonsense. Then we have words, the neo-libs, neoliberalism. That's another one. Neo inverts it. The neo-libs are actually laissez-faire. These are like hardcore conservative types. So you have all these labels which mean nothing. So when you say if they are they neocons? Technically not. There are some people like Victoria Nuland who believe, like Zbigniew Brzezinski, like the Institute for the Study of War. These people, they love the money. Remember, NATO exists on Russia. No Russia, no NATO. If there's no Russian threat, what are we paying for? If you want to get into NATO, let's say Atwood is a country, and Atwood says, we, Atwoodians, would like to be a member of NATO. Well, you have to buy this material, these weapons, this stockpiles, some RP. It's like a franchise. If you had a chippy or something, and you had to use their equipment, their potatoes, their thing, same thing. It's about money. And the only way NATO exists is if this ridiculous threat of Russia persists. If it doesn't exist, if the whole world says, because as you know, it's not Russia I worry about. Who poses the greatest threat to us? What country? Don't think too hard. What are the ones you're thinking?
The
Which
psychopaths.
one?
It's always the psychopaths at the top of the dominant country, because if you go back hundreds of years, it's always the dominant country aggrandizing that triggers world war.
The people that I would worry about, be very careful about, and not because they're going to get a war, but they're so powerful. China is somebody. Remember, I don't want to use a line from The Godfather: "Keep your friends closer and your enemies closer." But China represents something which is so we don't know how to deal with them. They're going to control everything. They're going to have their economy, their landmass, their population. It's going to, and where are they? BRICS countries. We're looking at them like, do you know what happens if all of a sudden they turn around? For a long time, Shaun, all our lives, UK, Europe, the US, it was always us. After World War II, get out of here. Not anymore. It's a different story now. And I don't know about you, but there's a lot of people who are just waiting for payback. This scares me. There are people who are going to be blaming the United States. And let me also tell you something. Be very careful of false flags. Because if I was an unscrupulous person and I wanted to make sure that you shared the same enemies that I did, I would make sure bad things happen in the name of the people I want you to think did that. And it's as old as pirates.
But is it Gerald Valenti who says the business of China is business, the business of America is war? China's investing in countries all over the world, not bombing the crap out of them.
We have this, put it this way. When you've been not the bully, but you've been in a unipolar world for so long. Remember the Soviet Union, after World War II, we were it. There are people who still think it's 1945. They still don't understand this. They don't understand how things are changing. And just like Elon Musk says, I don't need the money. What do I need? I've got 300, but really, I'm not into this. I've got enough. If he had the worst, if he put all his money in bonds, he'd make $3 billion. I mean, anyway, the United States, I want to say, hey, folks, let's get along. We've got everything. We're doing great. My country gave you the best music. We brought you over. You basically took our blues, took it back to, but we gave you film, computers, Silicon Valley, movies, art. We're really good people. What do we want? What are we doing? What the hell do I care about Ukraine? What does this mean? Do you really think, this is my favorite, if Putin wanted to just take Ukraine, Putin said the best line. He said, anybody who doesn't miss the Soviet Union doesn't have a heart. Anybody who wants to go back doesn't have a brain. He says, I don't want to go back to the Soviet Union. No. But we as Americans don't understand. You've got ethnic Russians, you got people. We're used to strict borders. I watched this thing on my X channel, this Jeffrey Sachs. If China came to Mexico, our southern border, and put in a military base, we would say we have the Monroe Doctrine. We almost went to nuclear war in 1962 because the Russians were in Cuba 90 miles away. We have amnesia, as Gore Vidal says, the United States of amnesia. I don't understand where this is going. Something tells me that with Trump, who, by the way, is just say what you want, he's smarter than you realize. He just gets it. He's kind of awkward sometimes. He might say some things you don't. He may not be polished. He may have whatever it is, but he really gets it. And that's why he's surrounding himself with people. And by the way, another great person too, people like Tucker Carlson and others that are a part of this. And I hope they bring Alex Jones into the fold, because you see, Shaun, we are, and I don't want to kid myself, but we're kind of like the new, not the generation, but we're a part of a new movement here. We don't think like our fathers, and we're sui generis. We are conspiracists in thinking, and that's what makes us more beneficial, because we know where to look. It's like we're exterminators. You call us, and we know where they're hiding. We know where the rats are. We know. We've studied this. Everybody else is worrying about Russia. Russia's not the problem. The problem that we have is internal. It's this, and I'm going to leave you with this, my dear friend. It's this attitude. Whatever this is. I was born in 1958. So when I was a kid, I was 11 years old, it was 1969. It was groovy. It was great. Woodstock. It was, I remember Vietnam, great music. I guess I was leftist. I guess we were young. We were, into, civil rights, and gay people get married, and no war, and get along. And, we were, the Republicans and the conservatives were like stodgy and constipated. But we were into it. Something happened. I didn't change my ideology. I didn't leave them. They left me. I don't know where these people came from. And all of a sudden they went from this insanity. And let me tell you something. None of this could have happened without social media. None of it could have happened without it potentiated. It did to us what alcohol does to Valium. It potentiates it. It brings out insanity that we never thought was possible. I like
Lionel,
that.
I hope you are correct for all our safety. We've reversed. You've filled with hope, and I'm leaning more towards Camus when it comes to war. Just reading history, there seems to be something immutable in human nature that drives us to it every century.
It is.
And as technology advances, we get more casualties, and now we've got nuclear weapons. It doesn't bode well. But I hope you're right. I hope Trump gets in and follows through and ends these
Indeed,
wars.
sir.
That would be fantastic. I've also had another thought as well. At the very beginning, you were talking about rap, these guys getting co-opted by white executives, and we have Professor Hamamoto on, who studied this. It's his life's work in relation to the CIA. And I think viewers, what do you think, viewers? Put a 1 in the chat if you would like to see Professor Hamamoto and Lionel have a conversation. I think that would be amazing. Put a 2 in the chat if that's not a good idea.
Indeed.
You up for that?
Absolutely. Let me thank you. And I also, if I could, just tell you one more thing. My wife and I work in tandem. She is at Lynn's Warriors. And I cannot tell you how, recently we had something interesting. The biggest box office open this week was the movie Wicked. Now you might say to yourself, is that good or bad? Well, guess what it means? More people are going to theaters again. More people are enjoying leaving their homes and going out. The movie Barbie, again, was a big thing. And what is it a celebration of? Believe it or not, women. Women, not androgynous, whatever. Women. We're going to see Christmas time come. Watch what happens. Pay attention to the gifts. Watch people and kids do more of tactile things, less usual things. Watch there again to be a reemergence of boys and girls and dating and romance and things that identified the separation of gender. Believe it or not, you got to know where to look. And that's why if I were CIA, if I were in charge of intelligence, I want to make sure that I infiltrate where everybody goes. I want to control what they see. You're going to see some wonderful things, great things. And with Bobby Kennedy in charge of we're going to see people eat better. Eat better. Eating and diet could eliminate more problems. Remember, the number one cause of death, I don't know about you, but in our country, is heart disease. Preventable heart disease. Lifestyle and diet. Period. Think about this. If I could do this, reintroduce gender, reintroduce dating, reintroduce what it's like to be a man and a woman, a boy and a girl, romance driving, make the world healthier, give them a sense of independence, get them away from cable TV, have them enjoy a proliferation of new thoughts and ideas like what we're doing, something that's different, and allowing them long-term. We've been talking for 2 hours. They said that these people couldn't sit for the longest time. 2 hours. And we do it like it's nothing. People are smarter than you think. People love to think. People are going to be watching this, and we will be on forever. This is the greatest revolution ever. This would have never, when I grew up, you would have never seen this. Nothing. You would go to BBC 1, 2, 4, whatever, and that's it. You would have never known the rest of the world. You would have never been able to. Things are so great right now. So wonderful. This is you. Let me tell you something. We are a part of a revolution that nobody ever anticipated. And because of President Trump and this absolute rejection of this lunacy, the ripple effects are going to be felt around the world, my dear friend.
Amen. Amen. Huge thank you for coming on. Lionel's links are in the description box below the video on YouTube. I've put them in the live chat. I will close the show and let you get back to your dear wife. Cheers, Lionel. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good night. Bye. Right. I need to have a poll with everybody right now because I don't know if I'm too much of a naysayer when it comes to war. Just from reading history, I do get worried about things in this technological age. So my poll is this. If you think that Trump can end both wars, like in the Middle East and Ukraine, put a 1 in the chat. If you think that Trump can end one war, put a 2 in the chat. If you think that Trump is going to just get the military industrial complex will just ride roughshod over Trump and he won't be able to end any wars, and it's just going to get worse. Put a 3 in the chat. I would love to know your thoughts on that. So we have got lots of ones. Believers in Lionel's zeitgeist, which is the ideal scenario. We've got a couple of 2s, a couple of 3s coming in. 3s. I was watching David Icke on David Nino Rodriguez's channel the other night. And the host was really pumped up on Trump. And David Icke basically said that the invisible hand that guides the presidents, that tells the presidents what to do, the power is so embedded. It's been so embedded over the ages that the agenda is always pushed forward no matter who comes into power. I've interviewed David Icke 6 times. Most of it has got booted off YouTube, apart from my stuff on aliens, I think. What happened to Andrew Gold's channel? As far as I'm aware, his channel is thriving, Jane. What do you mean, what's happened to Andrew Gold's channel? Has it disappeared? Can you please elaborate? I was at dinner with him a couple of nights ago. It's a nice Sri Lankan restaurant. But I will have a look in a minute. He's got 3 channels now, in fact. His channels have split into 3, and they're all thriving, unless it's just gone down while I've been on the earth. So, look, I am hoping and praying that Trump follows through on ending these wars, because none of us want it. Some military mistake to end up in all-out nuclear war and we're all incinerated. And even these elites who think they can hide in the bunkers in New Zealand, what are they going to come out to? A toxic nuclear winter with no sunshine and a polluted atmosphere that's they're going to wish they died when the bombs dropped. So I hope, but I've never seen it happen whereby any politicians can come in and change the military agenda. What did JFK do? He wanted peace. He was going to split the CIA into 1,000 pieces, and boom! He's gone, isn't he? One way or the other. He was eliminated. So let's pray that the changes do come into play and these wars are ended. I would love that. But from my studies of history, I think we're in very worrisome times right now. I'm going to get the war experts back on. We had them on about 3 months ago and do some more interviews, talk about this firing of the missile, the mystery missile that Putin fired, and just get into that more. Yeah, horrify ourselves more, because it definitely needs further exploration. All right, I'm going to go to bed. We've got Suge Knight Wednesday night. We've got Misha Wednesday night. We've got loads of shows lined up for tomorrow. And yes, just breathe. Calm down. Thanks for the questions. I've had fun. Let's get Lionel